Morning, everyone. And I'm David Kumar. I'm a professor at Florida Atlantic University. I'm also the director of the STEM Education Lab. And today, myself and my colleague, Dr. Sharon Moffitt, we are sharing with you the results of our mixed method study of selected Noyce STEM teacher preparation programs for high need schools. Next. Yeah. The Robert Noyce program provides scholarships for talented STEM undergraduate majors and professionals to become effective K-12 STEM teachers. A Noyce Scholar is a student in a Noyce STEM teacher preparation program who receives Noyce scholarship funds and agrees to work in a high-need school district after they complete their training. As a condition of receiving those funds. According to the National Science Foundation, a high-need school district as defined in the Section 201 of the Higher Education Act and is based on a variety of measures, including student eligibility for the free and reduced price lunch program, teacher qualifications, and teacher turnover in the district. The study we are presenting is sponsored by National Science Foundation. It is part of a large collaborative grant. It has three focuses, and the third focus, objective 3 area, is our responsibility. And these are the questions. Before I go into this, I need to briefly mention about the nature of the Noyce program. The Noyce program, as I mentioned, the NSF provides Noyce funding in 4 tracks. Track 1 is for scholarships and stipends, and track 2 is for teaching fellowship intended to help transition those already working in a STEM field. And track 3 is a master teaching fellowship, and track 4 is for research. The funding which we received is NSF Noyce Track 4. And we have to, our mandate is to research and find out answer to these questions, and generally to find out the nature of the STEM teacher pipeline going into STEM, the high need school districts in the state of Florida, selected school districts in the state of Florida and Texas. These are some of the questions. What are the demographics and qualifications of the STEM teacher candidate pool, and how do they change during the training process? How do local high need districts perceive teachers coming from Noyce institutions? Do different programs have varying levels of success getting candidates, especially high priority ones, through their programs? Next, please. So the objective area has a very elaborate and a very heavy responsibility. And to answer those questions, we decided to choose a mixed method approach. And the mixed method approach obviously included literature review, then programmatic data inventory, an alumni survey, and interviews. Then finally, triangulation and analysis, and combining all those 3 studies, including in the literature review, come up with a better understanding of the nature of the STEM teacher pipeline to high need schools, districts, and also to answer those 3 questions I just mentioned. And at this point, we have completed all those studies. So in this presentation, we'll be briefly presenting nuggets from the lit review, the programmatic data inventory, the alumni survey, and the interview, and the resultant, the outcome of combining all this mixed method, the outcome of the mixed method study. We did a literature review of Noyce program evaluations. And some of the outcomes are scholar efficacy, incentive of the Noyce scholarship provided that help students to pursue this program, the importance of mentoring in the Noyce programs. And also we found out that not every scholar fulfilled their scholarship commitment. Some scholars reported poor treatment of teachers by school administrators, low salaries, and difficulty finding jobs in high-need schools. The lit review also brought out some of the evaluative recommendations from the program, the evaluation reports we analyzed. They talked about developing a targeted selection process for identifying STEM students interested in teaching and preparation for the realities of teaching in high-need schools and tailoring opportunities in high-need classrooms and enhancing opportunities for team building and community development and providing a mentor program for our scholars. Sharon, you can take it.
Okay, so the first one of our first data collection points was after lit review was our programmatic data inventory. So we created a Qualtrics survey, and it's a principal investigators programmatic data inventory. We had 4 participating institutions. So the participants were the coordinators from each of those institutions. And of course, we did the IRB review, and then we administered that PTI through Qualtrics. And then again, responses to the PDI, were pulled and analyzed. And we've just captured a few things here for this presentation, but this was the percentage of ethnicities of Noyce Scholars. And the blue is at the beginning of the program, and the pinkish is graduated or continuing. Our 4 universities had programs of different lengths of time. One had one that was multiple years long, and some had just beginning. So they had either very limited graduates or none graduates. So we did graduated and continuing. Okay. And then we looked at the percentage of leavers by ethnicity, and you can see that the percentage of whites who left the program were smaller than those who stayed, and that we lost the Native American, and there was an other, and that was a loss also, and that the Asian population of this particular group, 23% of them ended up leaving. And then we looked at the gender of the scholars at beginning, which was 61.4% female and 38.6% male. And then we looked at the gender of the scholars again. These are those who left. So we can see that 7% of the female scholars and 19% of the male scholars left the program so far. And then this may be difficult for you to read, but this is the school district collaboration, because we wanted to know what was the collaboration with the universities and the school district. So we have little asterisks here, because what we see is that 100% of our university programs said that they have communication with supervising teachers within the school, and that the school districts are working closely with with university in implementing the certification program. So we looked at those, and then we looked at those 2 points and throughout the other data collection that we conducted. So those are the ones that are most significant as far as this graph goes. And then we switched to an alumni survey, and it was again generated through an alumni survey of collaborating Noyce STEM Teacher education programs. So these were alumni. These were individuals who had graduated. We did have some who had graduated but were finishing after they graduate, they have a 2-year responsibility to teach in a high-need school. And so we had both. We had those who had graduated but still had their 2 years to do, or were in the middle of their 2 years. And we had those who had graduated who had completed their 2 years. So we did separate the questions based on those categories. Again, IRB approval by our university. Our survey was administered once again through Qualtrics, and we got the information from the collaborating principal investigators, we had 226 alumni, and we had a 46.5% return rate, and the alumni instrument included 42 items, and we used our stats to analyze that data. This was one of the interesting things that we thought, and it's also very positive. This question here, we asked them all, would you have considered teaching in a high need school prior to Noyce? Of those that said yes, they are currently teaching in a high need school. But what's interesting is, would you have considered teaching? And of those who said no, we had 21.9% who did in fact end up or are currently teaching in a high need school. So we felt like that was a pretty positive point for the program. We continued with an interview process, and we used semi-structured interviews, trying to summarize. And our guiding questions were, what factors contribute to the development and success of the Noyce student teacher? What is the essence of teacher experience in the Noyce program? And what is the perception of school leaders of their Noyce teachers? So the way that we developed this questionnaire was we analyzed the lit review, the programmatic data inventory, and the alumni survey to identify needs in areas where there was a deficit of information. We also did involve the 4 universities and their coordinators in this kind of in this data, looking at what are we missing, or what some of the time it was maybe there was a misunderstanding of a term, and we wanted to make sure those things got cleared up if possible through this survey also, interview. So we identified 4 groups. Actually, the grant required these 4 groups, and we added a group, but school leaders, which we're going to call SL moving forward, human resource or other licensure personnel, HR, cooperating/mentor teachers, and program professors and support PS. And we did focus group with the coordinators at each university to, again, look at this information, the data, the alumni, and the lit review, to see what is it, what else do we need to know, what's maybe not clear. We did get an FAU IRB, and then the coordinators gave us a list of individuals in each of these 4 categories. So we contacted all of them, and we conducted virtual interviews. And originally they were going to be in person, but then this grant ran through the time of the pandemic. So we ended up with virtual, which actually we think was a positive. They were recorded, transcribed, member checked, and then added to the triangulating data. So our resulting themes were support, with sub-themes of observation and feedback, mentoring and hiring and retention, communication with a sub-theme of relationships, scholar skills with a sub-theme of characteristics, and placement. So just a real quick, a few things from each of them. Support was a very big area, and mentoring was mentioned. And the thing that was interesting about mentoring is that word mentoring meant something different to almost every individual that we were able to speak with. So that was something that we found, quite intriguing. Do you have a mentoring program? Well, I have this person that I think is my mentor. Or yes, we have a program and it's my cooperating teacher, but then the cooperating teacher, some of them were like, we don't really have a mentor program. I'm called a mentor because of my position. So, but there was one, there were quotes that said it would be great to have a mentoring program for everyone. And observation and feedback, and they felt like that stronger relationship between schools and universities would have enhanced the feedback cycle. And then there was discussion of personnel who were very active through classroom visits, observations, feedback, and conversations that included the cooperating teacher. So there were some really good examples of feedback. Hiring and retention were discussed as often uncontrollable by hiring personnel due to life changes of scholars and availability of jobs as well as other aspects. So they would have been hired, but there was no job. I finished college, I'm going back home. So there were a lot of things that were out of control for hiring and retention. Communication was also strong. They were spoken often about by participants. Few HRs or school leaders or cooperating teachers acknowledged familiarity with the Noyce program and the scholar status. Many were not aware that their student that we were speaking to them about was a Noyce Scholar. And a program support person stated to us that they know they're in a biology teaching degree, they don't know they are Noyce Scholars when that particular person places them. School leaders indicated limited awareness of the Noyce Scholar status, and there was little mention of relationships with universities other than transactional correspondence during placement. Scholar skills, all positive. They loved the scholars. They felt that their characteristics were strong. They felt that they had the content knowledge. That was unanimous with everybody that this program was very strong in preparing them to teach in that classroom. Placement in high need schools was discussed, and there were also some things that were out of control. They needed teachers that were certified, and if they were certified, were they willing to teach? Scholars had a choice. Again, that goes back to, I finished school, I want to go do my internship where I live because it's cheaper, I can go back home. Matching content area of scholar, they need to have a principal who agreed to host, and the lack of information about the Noyce program or the Noyce Scholar designation. And everyone we spoke to, they knew that they had to be placed in a high need school, and they really tried. They just had these other life goals that got in the way. So David, do you want to pick it up from here with the triangulation, or?
You could complete it if you don't.
Okay. So then we did our triangulation with all 4 of these areas where we received data. And some of our preliminary findings and recommendations, we are still in the middle of intense triangulation. Placement in high need schools is difficult. So perhaps considering a remuneration for student teaching period may give the university ability to choose a high need school and still maintain the scholar, because the scholars left because they couldn't afford to stay without a job and teaching full time. The value of mentoring is mentioned in all 4 data analyses. However, there is not a clear understanding of mentor across the data. Perhaps programs should establish a well-defined mentored program for Noyce Scholars. Communication was discussed in 2 different contexts. Text. There was a lack of sufficient communication between universities, schools, and districts. So perhaps exploration of an effective communication that connects all constituencies is recommended. And alumni shared that communication with professors and UTeach helped them learn about the NSF Scholar program in the first place. Questions or thoughts?